Rich from RDZ Motorsports here. A few days back we showed you the rear differential subframe, rear diff bushings and the front diff bushings that we changed out. We put urethane ones in there by Whiteline. Today we're going to address the subframe spacers or bushings. We're putting in spacers. You can replace the whole bushing, but it requires removing the whole subframe out of the car. So let me show you why the stock bushings shrank very early on in the car's life. That's a gap there, and then there's another one up on top. It equals about a ½ inch, and then you have the front bushing. So there's just these 4 points of contact, 2 on each side. This has a gap here and then here. And what we do is we put, I'm going to show you the spacers. They're here on the table. All right, so in order to do this, we have to loosen these bolts right in the middle. There's a collar here that comes off, and then there's a collar here that comes off. All right, and then the same thing on the front there. On these ones, you have to take out these two 14mm bolts right here. They're 14mm head, and these are 17 in order to drop this collar out. And then you're able to put the other subframe spacers in. But what you got to do is you're going to want to support the subframe before you pull the bolts out, or the whole subframe is going to drop, and then you won't be able to get the nuts back onto the end of the bolts once you install the spacer. So keep that in mind. You got to support that subframe. So we have a lift here with a lift jack, and we're able to do that relatively easily. You can do it on jack stands and then support the car on the jack stands, and then pump up the subframe with a jack, and then you can remove the collars and you shouldn't have a problem. If you do it after you release the bolts, sometimes it's a pain to get the subframe to push back up. It binds a little bit, so be careful there. And that's pretty much it. We'll show you what it looks like after they're installed. And in a flash, we're back, and the installation is finished. Right there's your collars, or some people call them spacers, to take up that gap that we were talking about. And that's basically it. It's not a real hard installation. There might be a point where you need a pry bar to pull down on the subframe to get the top collars in. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward and makes a huge difference in the way the car will handle and operate.